It's just 5 years since the traumatic events of the Great War, but everyone is responding with new energy. The BBC starts broadcasting nationwide. The Charleston craze sets the flappers dancing. The Flying Scotsman takes to the rails for the first time. Wembley Stadium opens with mass crowds, and Bonzo Dog is syndicated in the newspapers. And there's also stirrings at Morris Garages in Oxford, after a new manager had arrived the previous year. Under his leadership, ordinary bullnosed Morris are transformed into something much more exciting. As John Oliver Arkle recorded when he goes to Morris Garage's showroom, "I spied a yellow sports car in the window, an unusual yellow, the colour of good butter, and it had black wings." This was the Rawworth-bodied Morris Cowley, one of 4 created in the Alfred Lane workshops under the guidance of the innovative new manager, one Cecil Kimber. But let Easter Kirkland give a more personal view of the man.
So this is Cecil Kimber in his yachting gear, I would say. Next door to him is my mother, Bobby, and this is her mother, Gilly, who was Cecil Kimber's second wife. They married in 1937.
We refer to him now as Cecil Kimber, but he was always Kim to friends and family. And he had a competitive streak. Even before the Great War, winning car trials got you noticed. So in 1923, Kim started building a trials car that would pay dividends in 1925.
This is the gold medal that Cecil Kimber won in the 1925 Land's End trial. And he was driving the car that is called Old Number 1. Not necessarily the first MG, but it's the car that everybody calls Old Number 1.
With an overhead valve 1496 Hotchkiss engine, which produced about 40 brake horsepower, Old Number 1 could reach 80 miles an hour. A specification and performance not dissimilar to the 1961 MG Midget. Its place in history was guaranteed by the gold medal at the Exeter trial, and Old Number 1 now has pride of place, British Motor Museum. Old Number 1 also set a sporting tone, which comes down to today. The MG Car Club Southwest Kimber Classic Trial ran for 80 years, and the club still has its annual hill climb at Wiscombe every September. And Wiscombe have put a range of MGs in an Austin Healey Mark I Sprite-On show to demonstrate the development of the Mark since that 1923 Rawworth-bodied car. Come with me and have a closer look at each one. Firstly, there's the M-Type, and then the P-Type, where you can see the spirit of Old Number 1 shining through. Then Bruce Winston's gleaming TC, followed by an MGA, MGB, its GT version, the MGC's V8, the ZR, the MGF TF, and now the new electric MG4. The all-important beer tent is ready and stocked up this evening, when it'll be besieged by thirsty drivers and marshals. And the burger van is already doing a roaring trade for breakfast, and soon enough they'll have to gear up for that all-important lunchtime rush. Well, it looks like a good day. The early morning mist is clearing, and we have a wonderful collection of entrants, from family runabouts to veterans and racers. From 7:30 to 9:30, the first step for every driver is signing on, this year overseen by Andrew and Sue Oust. It's an essential part of the meeting, but you can always catch up with friends while you wait in the queue, then finally sign on under all those MSA regulations to remind you that this is something special and serious. The recovery truck rolls out in case the worst happens. Marshals have gone to their posts. Practice can begin whilst the scrutineering continues. Over in the paddock, there's a whole lot of polishing going on, ready for the scrutineers. Everything has to pass the scrutineers' eagle eyes and ears as each car gets a sound check. And of course, scrutineering means a detailed check to make sure the driver's kit conforms to the latest regulation, particularly the helmet, gloves, and the fireproof overalls. Then the car gets its check. Anything that wobbles is treated with great suspicion. And then we must make a thorough inspection of the engine bay and look at the cockpit and the seatbelts, which will always be checked extremely carefully. And then the tyres, and it's a tense time until you get that magic phrase, okay. Let's wander down to the start. There's Roger Coote in his Austin A40 making his getaway. It's a good start, right up towards Bunny's. Now we might get a better view from the bridge. And it is. It's a good view of Robin Doddswell in his Seat Toledo VR5 going through Wiscombe. But the sun's shining bright and hot, and so let's go and get some shade under that tree while the batch comes back. We can just sit here and read the programme, and with the magic of video we can watch all the contestants at all the points whilst we just sit here. Two classes are coming up with a lot of MG interest. Firstly, the Downton Motor Club Speed Championship. This is Simon Hannum from Holtwood in his 1380cc MG Midget. He's competing with Adam Holland's Modern Mini. But Simon, with a best time of 49.3, is 3.32 seconds ahead of his rival. And we can move on to Class 7, the MG Car Club Speed Championship. First up, number 110, Stephen Wiscombe from Warminster in his 1380cc Midget. Now, here's Robert Griffiths coming up to the start line. Now, Robert's a regular competitor in this event. He comes from Bristol, and here he is in his 1380cc Midget, this year carrying number 111. We can follow Robert up Wiz Straight and past Bunny's Leap, and catch up with him as he accelerates through Castle Straight to Martini and the finish. Next up, Ben Rolls from Gillingham in his Sebring Sprite. Let's watch him take the key parts of the hill in style. And he does it in a scorching time of 44.43 seconds. That turn would be the best performance from an MG Car Club member, and it wins him the Bristol Motor Cup. And that tight turn round Sawbench shows how he did it. Now, winning the cup lifts him out of Class 7, leaving it open to the others to be placed first or second. And that was Rob Orford in number 113, Bumblebee, flying the flag for Bradford-on-Avon. This thoroughly fettled car, a 1950cc MGB, is a regular competitor in the Speed Championship. And we can watch him come up through the S's, out of there and into Sawbench. time of 47.98 is fast enough for him to clinch first in class. 114 is John February from Bristol with his MG Midget. This has got the rather smaller 1330cc engine. And coming into the S's is 115, Steve Jackman in Roadrunner. He's lucky to be in the race because as he unloaded Roadrunner, he realised he'd left the immobiliser key back in Frome. Some nifty driving got him there and back just in time for practice, and Steve races up Castle Straight just behind Rob Orford, making him second in class. And Steve, back in the day, Triumphs were MG's most serious competitors for the hearts and souls of motor enthusiasts. But now they're brothers in arms. And this is the Revington TR Hill Climb Championship with John and Tristan Blake, John Wheaton and Miles Woodward in his winning TR7. A wide range of makes and models will compete in various classes. There's road-going production cars, sections for different engine sizes, race, rally cars, and starting with the vintage cars pre-1931, like David Keith's Riley Brooklands. Designed by Percy Riley, tuned by Reed Railton, won several classes at the Le Mans in 1934. Followed by Chris Pickering's diminutive Austin 7 Ulster replica, very successful race car at that Ulster event. Then number 12, Roger Grant's Midget. And escaping from doing the shopping is Alan Sydenham's Nissan Micra. Here's Roger's Farina 840 again, quite the sporting car. In 1959, Pat Moss and Anne Wisdom won the Monte Carlo Coup de Dame. Peter Rowe and Matthew Philby shared this MGB GT in the road-going production car class. Now for a moment of high drama. One of the marshals has seen a small rock. Will he get rid of it in time? Yes, he does, and all is safe again. Just in time for Malcolm McKay's Smart 4.4. Oh, sort of smart. Underneath lurks a Mitsubishi Colt upgraded by Brabus. Quickly followed by Roger Hodgson's MGF. And here's Christopher Wells' Mazda MX-5 chasing a place in the Wiscombe Championship. Now here's an interesting old car with an interesting old driver. It's Barry Carter in his MGA. There's quite a story here, and tell you what, we'll go and have a word with him once the batch comes back. A regular at Wiscombe is David Jameson's Volvo PV544. This wonderful brute of a car had its origins in the 1940s and lasted till the 60s. In its last year of production, a second-hand PV544 won the Safari Rally. So watch out. Ooh, there's a bit of oil smoke there. But the fastest in class at 43.97 is James Hudson in his VW Golf. That three-wheeler around Sawbench shows you how to do it. Well, that's the batch done, and the cars that are gathered in the top paddock can return for another run. And there's Barry, so we can wander over and have a word with him about his MGA.
My first run at Wiscombe was around 1965 when I lived in Colomby, and we towed the car there with a trailer which was a dubious heritage and an old Ford Falcon 6-cylinder. It took about 5 hours, I think. Fast forward to the 70s, the 80s, and I was now competing quite regularly with this car, Oh, that was beautiful, this car. Envious. Envious has got so much history. The only four-seater that's known as a proper four-seater. Look under here, you can see it's a proper factory return. It's not beaten out by some hobby. So we then realised it was one of the few. I did get in touch with Heritage. They weren't very helpful. I got in touch with Heritage. They said there was three they thought were built. So this is one of them. Supplied by Dick Jacobs, a great MGA fame. And you look on the dashboard, it's got Mill Garage, which was Dick Jacobs' garage, who modified all the MGs. And he raced at Le Mans, and was in the nasty, horrible crash in '54, and never raced again. However, he still modified MGs. I never raced this again after '97. And then we were sitting at home one night having a glass of wine. On the wine goblet, it said, best overall, Wiscombe Park, 1997. So I thought, I've got to get the old girl out again. As a commemoration of that. And that's what I've done. And apart from a pedantic clerk of the course today, we'd have had a wonderful time. As it is, with his decree, I can't even see where I'm bloody well going. At an 82, I'm still at it. And as I said, it's a disease. You die with it.
We can all agree with that, Barry, but we're going to have a great time on the way. So let's go back to the Lotus Sevens Club competition. We saw them being checked for noise, and let's go listen to that noise on the hill. And if you've got 39 seconds to spare, we can watch Simon Rogers set the fastest time for Class 5. But when it comes to Caterhams, everybody is fast. And we can play Compare the Caterham. No meerkats here. First up, Andy Winston. Neil O'Leary. And Alan Bowler. Then Michael Calvert. And Tony Smith. Followed by Lewis Careen. Then Philip Matchwick. Robert Jacobs in 555. Here's Richard Price, all the way from Newcastle-under-Lyme in sunny Staffordshire, setting the best time in subclass 4. James Thornton. Then Chris Alston. And number 584, Andrew Skinner. And Robert Margell completes Class 5. As he makes his way past Bunnies, the Caterhams make way for Class E1, the racing cars. First up, representing vintage races, are Stephen Carter, number 81, and Richard Carter in number 82, in identical Austin 7 racing cars. Let's watch them take the hill. Then leap into modern races with the Jedi Mark IV. They're made in Wellingborough, and it's jointly entered by Ben and Tony Bonfield. Then Ben Wheeler's Carbon Honeycomb Evo 2, second in class, but 35.57 takes Ed Holly's Force HC to first in class. Next, Richard Opie's 998 OMS PR. They're made in Harrogate, and here's another OMS. It's Andy Short's CF07, and it just leaves the vegetation swishing in his slipstream. All too soon, the racing is over. We troop down to the paddock, the prize giving.
Afternoon, and we'll go to the MG classes. First of all, class 1A, 2A, 2D, etc. 2F. No awards, but David Keith, Chris Pickering, Keith Benningfield, Christopher Pickering.
So we will fast forward to Class 7 and Steve Jackman in second.
9-8. And first goes to MGB Roadster Pilot Rob Orford on 47.98.
And Richard Price winning Lotus Club Class 7.4. Well, it's time for home via those lovely Devon lanes. And talking about home, did Barry Carter make it back? Well, yes, he made it back, but not without finding some problems.
Anyway, on the way home, we realised that the gearbox had gone. And now we're building a new one for it, along the first gear. It makes terrible noises. I can't get gears on the road either. So it's not the old boy's feet. It is my lovely, lovely car. My very last Wiscombe, except maybe Castle Good. You've heard that before.
Sounds like the workers don't agree with you there, Barry. See you next year. And Wiscombe is back on Saturday the 14th of September 2024. And see you all on the hill again next year.